and welcome to Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinite. We are here once again to discuss each and everything under the sun in relation to the youth. And as usual, with me in studio today is my great team, and I'm going to allow them to let us know who they are, just to get to know them a little bit more, and maybe how they enjoyed their week. I'm going to start with the only gentleman on the panel.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you for respecting us, gentlemen.
Yes, who are you?
Yeah, my name is Joel Sakwa. I'm a student now marching to third year, but now the campus is soon over. Yes, thank you for having me on the show.
Just let us know a little something about you, something that we haven't had on the show here.
You have really tasked us on this show. You have got into our life.
We can write a book about you.
Just something small, something we really don't know about you. I don't know, maybe you can break dance, I don't know.
I was under the me of dancing from day one, but I really do instruments. I play instruments. I love to. That one is already told.
Yeah.
And I love to sing.
To sing.
Yeah, one time I'll give you a cappella.
Lovely. Yes, the lady at the extreme end.
Hello, Hannah. Thank you for having me. My name is Monica Achayo. Finally out of school. I'm being tempted to call myself lawyer, but let me wait for the procedure of being awarded.
Have you had the cancel issue?
The cancel clip.
The cancel clip.
Stray bullets may hit me. So I'm just an ex-student now. Please humbly.
Cancel vibes.
Yes, doctor.
Hello, good evening, viewers. I am Dr. Patricia Achano Kiria, Deputy Inspector General of Government. I am very happy to be part of this conversation. Yeah. Today
we're going to be talking about national consciousness. And I know you are asking yourself, what is national consciousness? It is not really a topic that we get to speak about in our country, and that is why Your Space is here for you. Now, Monica, what do you describe as national consciousness?
Oh, it's a good thing we had this conversation with Joel, because now would be like a moment of
asking. Yes, that is why we need to have this conversation, actually.
So national consciousness, as borrowing from, this very able man, it is you knowing who you are. It is you knowing that I'm Ugandan. And so if I'm Ugandan, what do I do about being Ugandan? It's not... National consciousness is literally that, you knowing who you are and what are the responsibilities that come with you being who you are.
Joel, what about you?
Every single person that was born in this world has an identity, and science even made it much better. And they brought something called DNA, so we can discover that there is something connected to what is connected. Although it has been misused in the past few days, it has been misused. But consciousness, it stems from an area of identity. What do you know about yourself and your country? And what identifies you as a country? And are you conscious of it? In other words, do you walk the talk? In other words, do you walk like you know that you're Ugandan? So it takes you to a conversation of a deep understanding of your country.
Dr. Patricia, what is your understanding of national consciousness?
National consciousness, like Monica and Joel have said, it's about having a sense of identity, national identity, and identifying with your country and the people, the ethnic and cultural setups in your country. And historically, the rise of a rise in national consciousness begins with the first step towards building a nation. So when you have national consciousness beginning and people are beginning to respect their identity, first of all, to identify as Ugandans in a country and live together with shared cultural values and aspirations, then it's a first step towards building a nation. Yes.
What do you think is Uganda's collective consciousness, Monica?
Most people, when they ask them, what do you think Ugandans are like? I mean, like, you know how we know Nigerians for like pidgin
Being
English,
loud.
yeah, like snapping pidgin English and your eye kind of thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to Ugandans, well, picking from my friends who are not really Ugandan, what they pick as Ugandans is usually friendliness. You know, they are peace-loving
Hospitality.
people, hospitable people, and all those things. You know, there was this notion, I'm sorry. Back then, when I was like in Form 5, we started registering for, I mean, when the ID thing just came and it was a must for everyone to get a national ID, yeah, there were rumors, I don't know if it's true, there were rumors that the machine was rejecting those who didn't look Ugandan. So, no, it wasn't enough to be called a child. You actually had to look like an Achayo. You didn't get your ID.
I don't know what kind of machine that is, but I'm interested.
That was the time people struggled to prove that they're
Ugandan.
Ugandans. So, national consciousness, Ugandanism, what makes you Ugandan,
Oh
really?
my God. Yes, Joe, what do you think is our collective consciousness as Ugandans?
We shan't talk about the bad. Of course, we want that thing that really puts us forward, that represents us. Right from the nitty-gritties. What do we eat? How do we talk? Yesterday I was looking at a statistic, and the World Linguistics Forum was saying Ugandans in Africa speak the best English.
I do
Thank you,
agree.
guys.
I do agree.
Yes, I do believe, yes, we do. Because when you hear me speak, oh my God.
You're taken aback.
Wow.
Yes. So, all right. So, anyway, that was just an illustration to tell us that it comes to the nitty-gritties. How do we speak? How do we approach people? What do we eat? I was looking at Rolexes, where they came from, their history, the name of Uganda, like the Matoke Republic, the Rolex Republic. Yes, all these things that represent us. How do we dress?
Yeah.
How do we dress?
So I do know that national consciousness is something that is actually taught. Dr. Patricia, how then does the education system impact the development of national consciousness?
The education system impacts the development of national consciousness because it helps people, first of all, to identify, like Joel has said, with a particular group. It helps people, first of all, to see themselves as part of this group of people, either tribal or linguistic, cultural, traditional, and so on. And then it helps communities understand what people share. What do they have in common? What do we have in common as Ugandans? What is it that you can put out there and say Ugandans are like this?
Yeah.
For instance, Ugandans, you have just said, speak with a very beautiful accent, and then we are hospitable, and then we are very liberal, and then we are beautifully and wonderfully made and situated strategically in a place called the Pearl of Africa.
Wow.
So when we go out there in the rest of the world, we are proudly associated with this Ugandan community where we come from. So it helps communities, first of all, understand that we have certain things we share in common, and we are proud to identify with people who are from our origin. And then also we have some enshrined political activities in our country, and culture and religion. And when you mention those political activities, as Ugandans, we rise up and say we are proudly associated, because first of all, here we have got what they call the free space for political parties to exist and participate. Then we have free space for freedom of religion. We have got free space for people to explore their abilities and skills and potentials here in our country. There are countries where people are not free, by the way. They say this country we have got 3 religions: Catholic, Protestant, Muslim.
Actually, I
So
do
the
even
rest
see. I even do see
operate
the other.
in
The other.
secret.
Oh.
Undercover.
Yes, so they operate undercover. But here we are, where we have a country with a constitution, where we have freedom of speech and expression, where we can freely come here and begin unpacking the national values and sharing our minds with people out there in the country and unpacking these values and telling them, well, to be a Ugandan, we need to love our country and have this national consciousness and have this awareness that we are Ugandans and there are certain things that Ugandans do and are proudly associated with. Yes.
But you know, the way we perceive ourselves as Ugandans, our consciousness, our identity, in a way, is affected by a number of things. And I know one of the things that affect the way we identify with ourselves is definitely technology. Am I right, Monica?
Yeah, you're right. Technology, I'm going to zero more on social media. Social media has become a teacher louder than our fathers and mothers.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so loud in a way that and strangely and sadly, it's so effective. It can reach everybody, everywhere, at this anytime at their convenience. So we are having lecturers and we're having teachers and we're having people speak to us who don't carry the heart of what this nation is about, what being Ugandan is about. Dr. Patricia has just said Ugandans are very beautiful people, evidence right here. But you will find technology is telling you a woman should look a certain way, a man should look a certain way, should dress a certain way, should act a certain way. If you're not living a certain kind of lifestyle, you don't qualify to even be called a human being. People are asking questions like, is Uganda a place? You get such things because technology has allowed us burrow down into certain spaces where being us becomes shameful.
I don't know, has anybody on this panel ever experienced that kind of identity crisis where you don't really know how you identify as?
I think me.
You have? What is your experience? I also do have an experience, but I want to feel comfortable when you've shared yours.
Why? Because there was a time in my life, not too long ago, where I felt like public speech is not mine. Speaking, anything to do with speaking or anything like that is not mine. I felt like there would always be someone else better than me, so I would never try anyway, because why try and be second place, right? So I would never try at all. And really, I did. I have that. I actually tell people at some point in life I had stage fright and no one can believe me. I do. But strangely enough, mine was an attack on my identity at an early age of, I think, Form 2, when I entered for a debate competition and I didn't have my facts right. And so one of the judges, instead of telling me A, B, C, and D, the girl looked at me and said, girl, you should really never try anything to do with public speech or in spaces and all those things. I came to high school when I was a leader in primary, but then when I reached that stage and then this happens, and remember you're in a stage where your body is changing, so you feel like, okay, it's one thing to like be looking like this, and it's another now when they're trash talking you for another part where you actually thought you'd win. So I shut down completely. And then I think I woke up later, like in second year, and then your space took a chance on me. But basically, it's a strange place to be when you don't know who you are.
Well, we are going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to be talking about how to revamp that identity crisis. And I'll also share my experience just for a little bit. Take a break. Welcome back from that mini break. We are still here talking about national consciousness and some of our experiences. This is actually something hard to really admit, but it's something that is necessary for the conversation. The biggest issue we normally face is identity, especially when we are growing up as teenagers and all that, forming into the adults that we are. I think the biggest challenge I faced when it came to my consciousness as an individual is accepting myself for who I am and how I look. And as you said, social media, what we watch, what we listen to, in a way affects us. So you find, that's why you find people going as far as bleaching themselves to look a certain kind of way, you know, because we are inflicted with that. But when you really understand who you are and accept yourself for that specific identity, you start to exhume a different kind of feel. I mean, don't you guys feel my confidence from here?
Honey, it's a vibe.
Exactly.
Control.
So this just takes us into the conversation of how then can we promote national consciousness, accepting that, Dr. Patricia?
I think it's important that people accept themselves the way they are, and then they encourage self-improvement.
Yes.
But you know, when there are people who are discouraging others and pouring cold water on their talents and making them recess and move away from advancement in that talent, then it is quite unfortunate. But national consciousness requires that we encourage people to believe in themselves and build the talents they have and share the talents and skills they have in order to improve this country. And that calls for us to talk about things which help us to promote this national consciousness. Promoting national consciousness by inculcating the values, the discipline, the right behaviors to the people, so that they begin, first of all, to be aware of themselves, and they get to know more about Uganda as a country. We need to encourage or inculcate the sound moral and religious beliefs so that people fear the Lord, fear their Lord, and also respect what they have in their country, and also encourage justice and fairness among the citizens, so that people don't mistreat each other, so that people don't rob one another of their skills and potential, but they can basically get to share and harness the different potentials people have, so that they basically are able to disseminate that, and everybody else can learn from each other. Otherwise, I think it's very, very important for the public out there to be encouraged to keep sensitizing one another, to be conscious about what is in their country, what are the values they should uphold, what is, first of all, Uganda made of? What is it that we are proud to associate with as Ugandans? Is it the beautiful mountains? Is it the weather? Is it the food? Is it the people? Is it the different cultures and traditions and values? Let us push for those and create more awareness so that people begin to love this country for what this country is and how this country was created and endowed with resources and beautiful flora and fauna. Yes, those terminologies. And then we also chip in the importance of values, because without values, we have learned that this country is completely gone. Values, the national values, is a foundation for everything good and beautiful and national development. Without values, then we have vices like corruption taking place. Then we have vices coming in, and people begin to think that they can change their gender, that me, Patricia, I can change and become a man, and another man is changing to become a woman, and plaiting his hair and wearing our earrings, and begin to walk like women. So if we have these values inculcated in our children, in our young people, in all Ugandans, then we shall appreciate what God has given us, that we are beautifully and wonderfully created for the glory of His name, and we can use the different potentials we have to promote this country in the different spheres of life. That's what I have
You
to
talked
say.
about justice, and I really liked that specific point, because most times when we are unjust to people around us, in a way, in one way or the other, it makes them detach from loving the country or loving the people in the country as well. And then you start seeing people identifying themselves, no, me, I'm American at heart. That is why the accent starts to change into, you know, these different other things. But how then can we improve national consciousness, Joel?
I think we should take it in like 3 levels, but according to the flow of the conversation, we are hinting on those levels. Number 1, make sure you appreciate and understand yourself as a Ugandan. You yourself as a Ugandan, okay? So you do those things that can improve you, that can represent you well, that can bring out your image as a person. That's number 1. 2 is looking at the nation. What do you want the nation to look like? Okay? I am my brother's keeper.
Yes, please.
If I don't want this for myself, if I wouldn't love it in my best interest, I wouldn't love this for myself. Why would I wish it for another? Okay. Finally, is the world representing Uganda all around the world? If we take it in those gradual stages, we shall not have people thinking that I'm trapped in my body. Oh my God, I shouldn't look like this. I should look.
I'm caged.
They're just wicked. There is something just unhuman about something.
Insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity.
Insecurity breeds so many unnecessary thoughts.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah, very true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's protect, first of all, the identity of the individual. Let's protect our children. Let's make sure they are not abused. Okay? So that when they feel secure about their identity, you know, children, the other day I was looking at very sad stories. Children are sexually harassed, sexually abused. They are ignored. They are misguided, misled, and all these things attack the identity that when the child grows up, they do not know who they are, and they do not know why they should be who they are. So protect that. Then when it comes to a national level, let's protect our identity as Uganda. What is good about Uganda? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? How can we consolidate here and build on our weaknesses so that we improve on them? Then finally, ensure that we represent Uganda. Sports, politics, international, everything international, we represent Uganda, and it will be an easy way through.
So the first level you have mentioned at an individual level.
Yeah.
The second is
National level.
national level. And the third is
International.
international level. Now, one of the things that really moves human beings is art, is culture, is creativity. I don't know, do you think that can play a role in ensuring national consciousness, Dr. Patricia?
Art, culture, and creativity. Yes, they play a very significant role, because in terms of art, what is it that we are selling out there? Recently, I was in a country called Ivory Coast, and I preferred to go with a scarf with the national flag on. And everybody was like, hey, this is Uganda. This is so beautiful.
Wow.
I said, but I have some fabrics and art pieces I came with.
Wow.
And I took some souvenirs, of course, with the IG logo on, our souvenirs, but with the map of Uganda and our colors on. And it was so beautiful to share. It was so wonderful to share our art out there for purposes of promoting this country. And I make sure wherever I go, I carry a bit of that, so that I share with somebody internationally. Wherever they go with a little bit of something from Uganda. Yes, so it's very important. And then our art, our traditional dances. What kind of music do you play in your car?
You're only listening to
Do you listen to our local music also? Praise and worship in the morning? Or the Kadongo Kamu Joel likes listening to? Is it traditional Ugandan music? So I think we can promote our country in different spheres, like Joel says, both internationally, regionally, and even locally here. It's very, very important. And to let the young people know that this is about Uganda. How do we promote this out there? Can you speak well about your country? Can you participate in sports and promote your country and put its flag up high there? Can you participate in the national debate and put your country internationally at a different perspective as a winner and so on? So I think we need to encourage more of that. And as the children get more and more aware, then they begin to think that I am proudly a Ugandan. And wherever I go, I must win to ensure that my country is raised up on the map. Yes.
There's a time I wrote an article on my blog called Hannah Gets to the Bottom of It about my experience on Uganda and having an identity as Ugandan. And I remember a situation back in my high school where if you knew a Ugandan song, with with any Ugandan dialect,
We are local.
you are local. How can you not know the rap music of that international artist? You know, now we've begun categorizing people based off that. It's only now that we grow up that we really understand that that was a really screwed up way of thinking.
Twisted.
Of what is it, twisted?
Twisted
Way of thinking. I don't know how we can be able to instill that and find that national consciousness. Okay, you loving your country is cool. Is it possible, Monica? Do you think we can reach a level where it is cool for me to wear a black, yellow, red t-shirt
Without being too much.
without being too much, without being judged?
Yes, it is. Personally, I think, okay, country level, I have never really had an identity crisis.
Country level.
Yeah, I had it as an individual, not
Yes,
really
not
as a country.
country.
I've always known I'm Ugandan. I've always loved being a Ugandan, and everyone who is so close to me understands that if I'm to leave this country, it's for like 2 days, and it's for sightseeing. I come back. I cannot build anywhere else except here, and I can't do anything except here. And where was that instilled? At a very young age. And where was it instilled? From my primary school. How was it? It wasn't chaka what? No. At school, we had this class teacher. I love her so much. So that was early years, P3, P4, P5, around there. So we used to have afternoon classes were tough for us, really. Like,
You are still young.
yeah, and you're
You're
dozing,
tired,
you're
you're
sleeping,
dozing.
all those things. So what
Yeah.
they did, what my school did was that afternoons, children don't, okay, like those classes, P3, P4, you don't study, it's for storytelling. And the stories you're hearing are like
Chintu.
limited stories to this country.
Yes.
Today we can do legends. We do stories of legends, and then we can
Myths.
act it out and stuff like that. So you get to know what it felt like to be Nambi.
Those are the things we
Chintu.
need.
And then after that, we progressed to doing role-playing class. Are you the president of the country? How would you make it run? And things like that. So from a very young age, I appreciated being Ugandan. I fell in love with the country because it was instilled from primary. So if schools, and that was my school doing it, but as a side thing, it's not
side
really
thing,
part of the
yeah.
curriculum. So if schools could do that, it would be fun.
Now, this conversation is not stopping here. But before you can say bye for now, Dr. Patricia, what do you want us to step away with today?
I want us to step away with a special affection towards our country. And
Is this still part of the love affair?
and pledge, yes,
Yeah.
and pledge,
Definitely.
and pledge to love our country, and pledge to disseminate information and knowledge about our country, and pledge to carry our flag wherever we go for the good purpose, and promote those values, aspirations, things which promote us as Ugandans, things which we are proud to know and be and identify with as Ugandans. Yes. Thank
Sakwa.
you very much.
First of all, I want to challenge the viewer. You know, there is this notion that whoever is criticizing is right. I really don't believe that whenever a person is criticizing, they are saying the right thing. Let's make the conversation a little bit balanced. Talk about the challenges we are facing as a country,
And
but
the
talk about
solution.
the solution.
Thank
As
you.
well.
But still talk about the good things that we have in our country.
Yes.
And I think that's the strength of other countries. When they go out there, they represent themselves well. When they say we
It's
have
not
this,
even it's not even like when they move out, even when they
In
are
the
in the
country.
country.
It's a balanced
Yeah.
There's
conversation.
a balanced conversation.
I think that's
Yeah.
a challenge. And these tweets talking about everything bad, I don't think it's ethical.
Well, we're going to have this conversation continued next week on Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Your Space with your host, Hannah. Bye-bye.